Watch me now. Watch me now. Watch me now. Everybody talk. I just get it done. Everybody talk. I just get it done.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to week number 4, the halfway point of the XP Women's League. My name is Proto, and joining me on the desk tonight is going to be the man, the myth, the legend, Spadoom. How are you this evening?
I am super excited to be here. We've got some great games coming up. We're finally getting to see some of the the top 2 teams right now in the league duke it out and see who comes out on top of that. So a lot going on tonight. I'm super excited again. And yeah, just for those who haven't been following, we do have a group stage followed by a playoff stage. So in group stage, everyone will be playing against everyone else, and the top 4 teams from that will go into the playoffs.
Yep, as Spud has just highlighted there, that is going to be the season format. So let's have a quick little look into the teams that we have returning back to this season of the Women's League. Obviously, we have our main focus for this evening, match number 1, Volpez going up against Benchwarmers. But yeah, there we go. Another highlight of the format. 8 teams group stage. Semi-finals is obviously BO3s, and then the grand final is going to be a third place playoff as well as the grand final. So you'll have to see it. But again, the teams, Volpez tonight going up against Benchwarmers, but we have some names that obviously we have returning to the Women's League, Spud. Radical and Warriors to note. Triari, one of the newer teams on the block, as well as Vertex and Big Brain, Spud. But all of these teams with some very notable names.
Yeah, just looking at it, you wouldn't realize, but a lot of these teams stacked with veterans. Big Brain Esports consisting of some of the players from some of the other teams merged together. Vertex, another name that has actually been in our XP Women's League before they were back here in the first season. And of course, Benchwarmers, Altered Edge, Radical Rebels. A lot of those players have played before as well. So obviously, we have a lot of experience here among the teams, and definitely going to be some great games. And great games are what they're going to have to bring, because there's a lot of money here to be won. $3,000 in prize money, $1,500 to that first place winner. So, of course, they're going to want to make sure they bring their A game and get to that end stage, that playoffs, and then, of course, win those finals.
Prize money isn't everything as well with the new edition of the weekly best moment. So as you are playing / even watching at home, you see anything that you think is clip worthy, make sure you get it on the Twitch VOD. Send it in for your chance to win some R6 chibis if your clip is voted the best by everyone here behind the scenes and the public, obviously. But other than that, Spud, I mean, we're pretty much set to get right on into things here. It is looking pretty good for week 2. The schedule now on the screens. Obviously, on the mainstream, we have Volpez going up against Benchwarmers for game 1. Game 2, it's going to be Big Brain versus the Vodafone Warriors. Off stream, we have Altered Edge versus Vertex and Triari taking on RDC. Spud. But for our first game this evening, what are we looking at going into it?
Well, Volpez and Benchwarmers, these 2 teams are unfortunately at the bottom of the leaderboard here. Both haven't been able to find success in their game so far, haven't been able to find a win yet, but someone today will be able to find one. Only one of these teams can come out on top here. So I'm really interested to see how this actually plays out. And yeah, there you go. You have the numbers there. 3 matches, 3 losses. Round differential very close though. Both of them 1 round separates them. So in terms, could actually be a very close match tonight.
Yeah, it definitely could be. Obviously, teams that are so similarly matched up, it's going to be a banger, I reckon. But one of these teams is going to walk away with their first win for this season of the Women's League. So we're going to get to see who that is just in a small moment. But speaking of the teams, let's have a little in-depth look at both of these rosters. Starting things off, Volpez Gaming, Toki, Nuggets, Jesse, Knox, Izumi, and Angry with the subs, Hard Explodes, Weasel, and Core Vice. This team has proven to us on multiple occasions that they can get the job done, Spud, but going up against them is a team that can definitely do the same.
Yeah, Benchwarmers will be the team that's facing them here, and Yeah, they're made up of a lot of players who have played before and in previous seasons. Angry, of course, on Volpez will have that experience as well. But on the part of Benchwarmers, we've got Meg, Luxie, Desnot L, Ravenna, and Arctic X. And of course, Ravenna did very well in her previous team in Overt, so definitely bringing a lot of experience there. And Meg, of course, also a veteran of last season. So, yeah, both these teams, however, in terms of numbers, maybe evenly matched, but there's definitely maybe a bit more experience here being brought by the Benchwarmers.
Could be the case, but obviously things are still yet to pan out for this match. Speaking of this match, let's have a quick little look at the veto. Where is this bout going to be played this evening, Spud? And looking at the bans that we have on our screen now, we're going to be going to Bank. I believe the first Bank that I have got to see this season's of the Women's League. But Spud, some interesting bands to go. Obviously, starting things off with Skyscraper straight up, followed by Villa very closely. I mean, a lot of the newer maps and even some more of those older maps going out first.
Yeah, I mean, Theme Park, Skyscraper, both those banned out straight away by Benchwarmers. And last time we did see them play, I believe it was on Clubhouse. So they do want to go back to those more familiar maps. And Bank has been around for a while, just came back into the competitive scene 1 or 2 seasons ago. But even before that, it's been a staple as well. So definitely expect to see strategies that teams have practiced and know well. On the part of Volpez, yeah, it's a Chalet ban, Border ban, Villa and Clubhouse as well. I'm not surprised they chose to take out Clubhouse, just don't want Benchwarmers having that comfort pick there to work with.
Yeah, even maps like Cafe as well that have been taken out by Benchwarmers themselves. It's a map that we've seen them perform on in the past. So it's interesting that that was one of the later bans and not opted to be sort of left in over the Bank pick. But the Bank pick is going to be interesting, I think. It's a map that we don't really see too much play of in the Women's League. Obviously, we see a lot of Oregon's Villas, Clubhouses, as you mentioned. It's one of the maps that the teams are just always familiar with. But I think that possibly a little element of surprise is coming into this pick because you've got Chalet as the final ban there. So the choice was between Chalet and Bank, and Volps opted to go with the Chalet ban. So maybe they're hoping that they can sort of throw Benchwarmers for a little bit of a spin here, taking them to the Bank because, well, as you mentioned, it's new into the competitive pool again since its removal a couple of seasons ago, and then it has undergone some very minute changes as well. Obviously, the windows in the main lobby, et cetera, et cetera. So Bank has sort of had a little bit of a change up in regards to how it is played, but maybe that's what Volps were going for. Now, we are just waiting for 4 players, and then we will be able to get things underway. But Spud, what are you expecting going into the start of Bank? Volpez on the attack, Benchwarmers on the defense. How do you think this is going to pan out?
I'll be honest here, I think it will be close. I'm guessing a 7-5, maybe even going into overtime, but I do think Benchwarmers will come out on top, and that's just based on how they played in previous weeks. And I mean, last time we saw them on stream, we did see that they were fairly close to winning out some rounds. They did manage to stall out the attack from Big Brain Esports for a significant amount of time, and it's only that last minute execute from Big Brain, that explosive entry, that won them the round. So if Benchwarmers can replicate that and Volpez don't have that same explosive entry on the execute, then I think Benchwarmers could definitely, take this away, especially starting out on the defense.
Yeah, we have seen Volpez sort of play into that more aggressive style of siege, especially on maps like Chalet. Volpez do have the ability to play that style of siege, and Bank is a map that genuinely does cater to that play style. We've seen it throughout multiple different tournaments in Tier 2 and Tier 1 siege, so Volpez are definitely going to have that upper hand, I think, going into this on the attacking side of things to start. But it's going to depend how Benchwarmers play their cards on the defense. If they can shut that aggression down, if they can play for maybe a little bit more of a roam-heavy style, try and take that aggression to Volpez, might be able to do some damage. But Bank is definitely an interesting choice, given that it was picked over Chalet, which is a map that we have seen a lot of the time. I mean, do you think that it is going to be sort of general strategy, Spud, or do you think that something else might be afoot here?
Yeah, again, now that you mention it, as you've mentioned, Volpez more aggressive team, and Chalet usually does allow the attackers a little bit more free roam there. So it is a little bit strange that they've chosen to go to Bank. But hey, look, I'm not sure I can predict that that much more and read that much more from the results we've seen. Both these teams haven't had really maps that they've really succeeded on very well. So, I'm not sure. Again, it will come down to that aggression, whether the Benchwarmers setup and strategizing will be able to match that. And once the halves switch around, how will Benchwarmers attack shape up against Volpez defense? Will Volpez be as aggressive on defense as they are on attack, or will they choose to hang back a little bit? And that might be what gives Benchwarmers a room to move in.
In terms of the bans going into this spot, obviously Thatcher is one that we see usually across the board all the time, regardless of the map. But Flores, how do you think he's going to come into this? Do you reckon he will be sort of a nominated ban straight out of the gate, or do you think that teams might be opting for more of a roam sort of denial, maybe taking that Jackal off the board to allow the Benchwarmers to start things off on the roam? What do you think the bans are going to look like here for both sides, attack and defense?
Yeah, Thatcher definitely is a guaranteed. As much as I'd like to see a Flores ban, I'm going to go with my gut feeling and say that they're going to stick with a Jackal ban. It's just a kind of safe option. And of course, you do have a lot of roam options on bank, especially when you're defending that bottom floor. You can hang out in the top floor. There's a lot of ways to get back down through that main lobby, through the main and blue stairs as well. So, taking the Jackal away does give you a lot of freedom and breathing space to do that roam. On the other hand, Volpez might choose to take away that Jackal because they want to do that type of roaming. Again, both teams have something on the line here in terms of removing Jackal.
Yeah, Jackal could be a big play here. Well, we're going to see how things are going to pan out. We do have just one more player to get in, and then we will be able to get things underway. But, I mean, you mentioned already that OT was a possibility here for these two teams. Now, obviously, both of these teams yet to find a win for the current season. Obviously, in terms of round count, the sooner the game the finishes, the better. Obviously, they will find themselves a better position on the leaderboard with the win also is going to help. But Spud, do you think that OT is something that these teams are going to be sort of, trying to avoid in their best capacity? Do you think we're going to see maybe more aggression from Volpez trying to pretty much just mitigate any round losses that they can? Or do you think that Benchwarmers are going to be playing a little bit more on the defensive to try and pad the stats in terms of the round count here? Because the round difference obviously is a big thing for both of these teams.
Yeah, well, at this point, the thing to consider is once you've got that win, you've got 3 points, you're going to be ahead of whoever else it is, and the round count's not going to matter as much. I feel like these teams are going to, they have nothing to lose, right? They're both, one round separates them. They've gone 0-3. They're at the bottom of the leaderboard. Now is the chance. Now is the time, really, to take those risks and just throw out whatever was holding you back. Just go for it, right? Like if not now, then when? There's no better opportunity, especially now that the teams are fairly evenly matched. Now's the time to really, really seize the day and go for it.
Yeah, it's going to come down to obviously how the teams played out in the end. We are still waiting on one player, ladies and gentlemen. But I mean, starting on the attacking side, Volpez really need to be hoping to look to nail down probably a 4-2 half here if they want to have a good sort of ability to close things out early in the split. But going from attack to the defense, Spud, do you think that favors Volpez in any way, shape, or form? Or do you think that Benchwarmers are going to have the upper hand here starting on the defense if they can find the 4-2 in their favor, then going on to the attack?
Yeah, I feel like defense is really where Benchwarmers will shine. And definitely that's, I think, the way that the sides are starting out now definitely favors Benchwarmers. Having said that, again, if Volpez get that nice half, even a 3-3, and then go on to the defense, I think an aggressive defense, lots of roams, lots of challenges early on, I think that could slow down Benchwarmers a significant amount. That's where I think Volpez really stands a chance.
Yeah, look, Volpez, they're going to have the upper hand in terms of attack, but obviously going forth, defense is going to be the name of the game, I think, for both of these teams, based on their ability to shut things down in the early game. If they can find those opening picks, if they can take things out quickly, probably in with a good chance to find the round early on. I mean, top floor, I'd imagine, is where we're going to see things kick off, and top floor really does allow for a lot of that aggression, sort of the jump outs, peaks from the top. Depends if they play the main wall open or not. So obviously we are going to see how the strategy pans out for these two teams. But we are still waiting for one player, ladies and gentlemen. I'm terribly sorry for having to listen to us talk for an extended period of time. But, you love it. It's always good fun. Spud, is there anything, finally, that you can put on this, hopefully, as this player connects? What are your very last thoughts going into this match?
I think it's going to be closer than we expect. That's for sure. I think just based on the record so far, I think overtime, very real possibility.
Yeah, well, finally we have the R's. We are going to get into the map flyover. Bank, Spud, a map that we've talked about way too much in the last 5 minutes. We know the ins and the outs. Let's get ourselves familiarized. Starting things off, as always, with the bans. I know we speculated, Spud, but do you still want to stick with everything we sort of went through in the interim, or do you think that something might change? I mean, Thatcher Flores, yes, but what are you really thinking as the likelihood of that Jackal ban? And do you think Valkyrie's going to make it through?
I think Valkyrie will survive. I think it will be the Mira and the Kai taken off the board. Like, I'm going to be like super boring, do the standard rank bans, Thatcher, Jackal, Kai, Mira, and I'm going to call it like that. It's boring, yes, but given that Kaid and Mira are very strong on this of the bottom floor defense with the Mira, and keeping those hatches shut, especially with no Thatcher on the board, I'm going to say it. That's my picks.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're about to see starting things off. Bench warmers for the first. It is going to be the Thatcher. So keeping up to the trueness of obviously saying Thatcher is always the one to go. We are now yet to see if Flores or Jackal is to share the same fate for the bench this game. And, well, okay. Let's take everything that we speculated in the interim, throw it out the window. Carly is the ban here for Volpez.
Okay, I guess I would speculate at kind of the thinking. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna stop because I'm not sure what else to say. I was gonna say, Carly, maybe they're removing all the possible wall denial and relying on a Maverick, but okay, maybe they're just getting rid of Azami for fun. Given that she's not even playable here, just want to make sure no one accidentally clicks on it, right? That's why they.
Yeah. They're just doing a favor for the defense now that there is obviously no 6-pick for them available. Yeah. Okay. Well, Azami is gone officially now, but Amonte is teased here by Azumi, and it's something that we've seen sort of come to light in recent, that Monty has made a little bit of a resurgence across competitive Siege recently. Now, Spud, do you think that Azumi is going to be sticking this here, or do you think that there's going to be a bit of a switch off?
Well, I mean, we just talked about how Volpez prefers a more aggressive playstyle, and this would play very well into it. Rather than having to sit on drones and drive their toy car around, they just walk into sight with the Monty as their drone. So it fits it perfectly, if anything. I think they're going to stick it.
Well,
guess we'll have to find out. But yeah, bottom floor defense, that's usually where you see the Monty being played. So if they drone out the site, realize this is the location, probably sticking it. We do have, the Malusi on board here, slowed down a little bit. And of course, Luxie on that jungle will be able to deny for an extended period of time as well. So Monty will be effective, but can be easily stalled out if Benchwarmers play their cards right.
Yeah, the way that Volpez is sort of setting this up here, I think it's going to be hard through the dirt tunnel, possibly just straight into the back of server. I mean, Benchwarmers aren't necessarily prepared for that. We do see the Monty going straight down there with Jesse now as well. So the Capitao and the Monty are already making their way into server. The drones are there, and yeah, they've already got server control. Jaeger is going to be cut off here, and okay, Ravana with the pistol is going to win that fight. That is the Capitao down in the first 30 seconds, and that is a really big pick, but there you go, there's the refrag. And, well, a bit of a rocky start here, but Volpez have compensated.
Yeah, I felt like that was more of an afterthought. She's just like, oh, there's someone there. I have my pistol out, guess I'll just use that. And just like that, Jesse taken off the board. But there is a refrag, a trade back, and, you know, taking out one of the top fraggers will be very useful here. But yeah, as you said, hard push into server here. All the utilities stacked up here, but oh no, not like this. Not like this.
At least it was made up for. Angry will find the refrag. The diffuser now retrieved as well, but they forced Luxy's hand to break out that Tachanka utility early on. They're attempting to burn into the site here with utility, and they will get a little bit in, but the shield is still standing and has yet to be cleared by Volpez. But I mean, there's plenty of time to play with. Angry's going to go down on the entry here, and that is going to be a good shot there from the Cade. But we'll be able to self-revive and make it all the way. Meg's going to finish the job there. But a 2 versus 3 Spud. Plenty of utility left to go. On this angle, Meg's going to find 2. Is it good for 3? That is the big question. Indeed, it is, Spud. 3 for Meg. Benchwarmers find round 1, and Volpez, a few big hurdles there trying to get into the back of server.
Yeah, look, they started off strong. The Monty push did actually have a lot of potential to catch Benchwarmers off guard, but unfortunately just weren't able to capitalize on that. I mean, Capital taken this straight off the board, and although they got the refrag, the trades didn't really come out in their favor, and especially with that Malusi and Tachanka delaying so much, they really couldn't get into sight. I mean, 2 things I did notice. They didn't use a hard breach charge, probably could have opened up an angle or an alternate avenue into that site. And also, of course, a little bit at the end, it seemed like they were pushing 1 by 1, and that's not something you usually want to do, especially when you have a player holding an angle like Meg was, just watching from those boxes. It's very difficult to challenge that. Better maybe just to go around.
Yeah, I mean, having the Zero still alive at the end of that round there, it sort of opened up avenues for them that they didn't really explore. They could have opened up default plant with the sort of turnaround crouch and attempt to go for that bomb plant, but obviously with Tachanka on the board, they did have a lot of time as well. They could have tried to bait out some of that utility. The Nitro was too far away from Meg to sort of be thrown from red there, unless obviously she exposed herself. But even still, very well read by Benchwarmers. They had themselves set up ready to sort of counter that direct aggression through blue, and then the team kill, obviously, as well, coming out on top of that didn't help Volpez in any capacity, which is a bit of a shame. But Monty taken out by themselves did really help Benchwarmers there in the latter part of that round. So a good way to kick things off here for Bank. They're going to go straight upstairs to the secondary bomb site, but no Monty this time. A Blitz instead for Azumi.
Yeah, I think they're kind of doubling down on this very aggressive, very rapid entry. They've got the Blitz, they've got the Finker. I did see a Ying tease before, has been flipped onto the Blitz here. But yeah, however, we did see that pre-placed C4 that could prove to be a bit of trouble here if that goes off at the right time. But for the most part, this is, again, a very rapid entry, already in lobby, no challenge so far. Ravenna looking for that first one, but I'm not sure if you'll see Toki will fire back, and Ravenna pulls back now with her life.
Yeah, Volpez have made a very explosive entry into the bottom of White Stairs here, and probably could have made it all the way up main. But speaking of main, that is going to be Evie taken down, as well as Angry off screen, and Volpez are going to lose 3 now, with Ravenna finding another onto Toki. And very quickly, this aggression for Volpez just does not seem to be working very well. The Nitro will be used there by Meg, unfortunately, is not going to find the waiting feet of Jesse. And now in a 2 versus 5, they have a minute and a half left. Some good utility on the board, but Blitz and Havana are a bit of an odd pair.
Yeah, and especially they seem to be fairly separated here. I'm not sure how those refrags will come through. Azumi now looking to challenge this Kaid, but that's not really an easy fight, especially at that range. The Kaid has a 1.5 times sight, and for the most part, attack looks to have been stalled out. That explosive momentum we saw at the start has suddenly disappeared, and now they're just stuck with minimal map control and mostly outside the building.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really much available here for Volpez to really play with. I mean, they've got 2 alive, and yeah, such a big split. It is going to be Jesse to opt to try and play for 1 here. However, the crossfire set up. Lux is going to swing out and collect. Azumi still fighting Meg at the top of the square stairs here. Both of these players are on quite low HP, albeit from behind. L is there to shut down Azumi, and that's going to be another round for the defense. Volpez, is this aggression just not paying dividends for them?
Well, the thing about aggression is that it has to be well placed. There's no point blindly charging in or pushing the wrong places, and it seems here that it's a lack of information. They they seem to have fairly good idea of where they want to go in, where they want to be entering, and a stock and a main stair, a banana stair push isn't a bad idea. You do get to get that pinch onto whoever's in elevator and playing around stock, but it's a lack of information. They just weren't aware Meg was still on that ground floor. They weren't aware that where these players were, and that's just costing them because there's just too many angles to be watching. No matter how well you can shoot, right? Even if you have the perfect aim, you can't shoot two people at the same time, right? You can't be looking everywhere at the same time, and that's just getting the better of Volpez.
Yeah, I think them splitting up as well, unfortunately, led to a little bit of their demise. I mean, we had 3 enter through lone office. Only 1 really made their way towards white. The other solid up main. And the blitz was actually left behind in terms of this push, was on the other side of the map. To her own devices, Zumi was kind of just left pretty much just solo to take into square. But albeit the strategy for Volpez possibly to slow things down a little bit here. I mean, we do see the addition of line and knock into the equation here, so maybe that is the indication that the playstyles maybe changed as well as the Jackal for Angry. But we're going to have to see how that plays out, Spoke, because these 2 previous rounds have not necessarily gone very well for Volpez.
Yeah, and although they've gotten some early picks and they seem to be in the right places, it's just a matter of not covering enough angles. There's potential there if once the drones give that correct information. I think they could really capitalize on that, and that's something I'd really like to see from Volpez in these upcoming rounds. On the part of Benchwarmers, though, their defense seems to be pretty solid. They've got players holding in different positions. They've got them in that off-site defense and then falling back. So fundamentally, I think they're doing that pretty well.
They've been allowed to pretty much just walk all the way up from bottom floor to the first floor here. Ravana, however, is going to be, again, the first to find the opener. This is going to be good now with the Jackal as well off the board. That is a big pick to find for Benchwarmers, keeping things real here. And that's actually going to be Diffuser down as well. But Volpez have some good control. They actually have Eve pushing into the kitchen double door here and might actually be good to just walk into the site. Toki has also relayed this information to the rest of the teammates, and it is looking like it's going to either be an aggression straight past the bomb site onto the top floor, Spud.
That's unfortunate. Not sure if that was a necessary pick, though. Maybe could have gotten rid of those players up in that elevator, especially when they drop later. But well, they were in a fairly good position, but I think the game has been given away. Even first to find that kill now, and actually on site and planting. Okay, I may have spoken too soon, and defenders all actually off-site and unaware. But yeah, that's a diffuser down, and where is everyone?
Eve is going to get 1. Rav is going to be good for the trade. Meg's going to go down to Azumi on a double, and it's going to leave Ravana to her own devices, but she could just go for the defuse here because no one from Volpez is really too close by to do much about it. However, Toki has now repositioned, and there you go. That is going to be the headshot there from the Buck to finish things off. A bit of a shaky round across the board for both teams, but I mean, Volpez come out on top of it, Spud.
Yeah, I like how they used the information they got from Toki on those on that main stairs. They actually figured out that, hey, there's no one on site. Everyone's off site. This site is free. And props to them for being very confident and aggressive and just walking right up to the site and just going for that plan. I thought, maybe they be concerned about playing elevator dropping down, and hence why went up to the second floor to challenge that. But no, they went for the plan, and to Benchwarmers' fault, they didn't really have much of a plan to get back to site.
Yeah, not really many avenues opened up for them, but I mean, still, they're tempted to make the best of the situation. They did get back onto the site. Ravana was in a pretty prime spot to get straight on that defuse. If she had, that round may have been slightly different, but albeit Benchwarmers find their first. Volpez find their first here. After a long set of misplays from them, Bank does have a little bit of a warm-up time, I think, though, Spud. You do have to definitely pin things down to that, because as mentioned at the start of this, it is one of those newer maps back into the pool. Teams may not necessarily be too comfortable on it just yet, but Volpez are making the best of the situation they have been dealt. We do see Azumi sixing off onto the Amaru here, which, again, a little bit of a questionable pick, but we'll see how it pans out. For a bottom floor hold, I would not be expecting to see an Amaru, but we have it, Spud.
Yeah, but if you think about it, right, we do see a lot of pro teams starting from the top and moving down for that roam clear. You usually start from those CEO windows, you go in from there, and, that is one way to approach it. And so with Azumi on that, on the Amaru, could actually get onto that top floor very quick, catch any roamers unaware, and that will give you more freedom to start working those stairs as well. And yeah, already we have L playing in the elevator, and I don't know if either of these players are aware of each other's position. The drone does come out now, and finally some drone work will actually catch her, and there we go. Good drone work and that early pick from Izumi.
Yeah, the Amaru seems to be paying dividends somehow on the top floor. But paired with the line, I mean, Volpez have definitely sort of changed up their operator lineup 3 times, Spud, in the last 3 rounds. We've seen 3 sort of different sets being bought here by them, and this might be the one that sort of works for them in the end. I mean, we do have, obviously, the first pick on the board for them now. Paired with the line, though, this is going to be a big enabler for their aggression. Now, they do have first floor control. The remaining players for Benchwarmers down on the site, holding their angles, waiting for the aggression to come. I mean, Volpez have all the time in the world, opening up some hatches. It's looking like they might gear their push towards the vault side of things and maybe opt for a vault drop. Here is going to be the second 3 line scans. Jesse sort of getting this hatch open in the main here is going to be very aggressively peaked, though. Meg is going to answer back with a good trade. Now 4 versus 4. Only a minute 20 left. Rav's going to find 1. Not good for the second. Toki will take down Arctic, and that is also a frag on the board for Eevee. Now, very quickly, a 2 versus 3 Spud. With only, well, a minute left. Still plenty of time.
Toki will find 1 more onto Meg, and that's a 1v3. Luxie left all alone by herself. Does have some denial to stop the push from a couple of angles, but there's only so much you can do when there's 3 players remaining. Position is given away. They do know where she is, and now with her position locked down, it's just a matter of going for the plant now, and she is forced to fall back. Zumi going for the plant now. 2 players covering. This is definitely a difficult place to be.
Bomb is going to go down. Now 45 seconds for Luxie to find 3 players that have already cemented themselves inside the bomb site. Final line scan here slows down this retake even more, but it's not going to come down to much. Toki's there. The head of Luxie will be found on the buck, and that's going to be another round for Volpez, who seem to have found their footing.
Yeah, it's off to a shaky start here, but now definitely looking a lot more confident here. They've got the rhythm, they figured out what they're doing, and we're starting to see some good coordination and drone work as well. And as we mentioned earlier, that seemed to be what was lacking, the intel. But as we saw in that previous round, the first pick from Azumi onto L, got onto the second floor very quickly, had the drone, droned out L, and then got that pick. Perfect drone work and perfect roam clear.
Yeah, really well executed. I mean, especially with the Valkyrie to go down quickly as well. That's a Nitro off the board. And just really a lot of good utility that was saved. For the attackers, they only used 1 drone, no extra utility to find that roamer, and at the end of the day, you take those, especially when you're starting things off on the attack on bang. As much utility as you can save going into the final rounds is obviously the better. But again, speaking of roster swaps in the previous round, Volpez have mixed things up again here, and Azumi's now on Fuse instead.
Yeah, I mean, keeping benchwarmers on their toes, they're not really sure what to expect. I mean, I hope it works. Fuse can be very powerful playing those verticals, and especially now that he can go straight through the hatches, could clear out all this utility here on the A side. There's shields, there's Goyo charges, 2 in fact. Could definitely open up that site for the plant. As well, the hard breach charges, no, she will be bringing the soft breach charges. I was going to say, if she had hard breach charges, could definitely make opening those hatches even easier.
Could be a rush here for Eevee, who has already made a pretty significant dash here all the way into server with the Finker there. So the CBRN operators looking to make their play into the bottom side of the side. Obviously, Jaeger is going to be on the lurk. Ravana doing what she's been doing in these past few rounds, holding down this blue side of the map. with some good utility. However, Z-pings are there for the defense, and that, again, Ravana, inside of blue, does not lose those fights. Takes down Eevee. That is the line gone. Did get one of those E1D scans off. However, no more will be used in this round, and the flashbangs are actually going to be taken to the grave as well.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate pick right there. Definitely had the info. But hey, still have 4 players left to work with, so definitely have the utility, have the player count. They just need to find those picks, and they've got pretty good positioning here. They've pushed up all the way to garage. They have server control, and I don't think there's anyone actually off site who might challenge from blue. Meg, however, will find another pick onto Toki, and that's not another player you want to be losing. You just do not want to be losing any more players, especially now that it's 2 players up for Benchwarmers.
Yeah, Volpez, unfortunately, that's not finding these opening picks. I mean, Ravana's good for, I believe, 3 openers here, Spud. Every time she sort of gets into those opening engagements, she wins them. And that has been a huge factor for Benchwarmers here in sort of turning around a lot of these trade conversions. But 3 versus 5, not really much left on the board for Volpez to work with. They don't really have any means of clearing the Cade off of the main hallway hatch. That is going to be able to get open that main site hatch, but that is really all the control that they have for themselves right now. I mean, no real blue presence, no main flank sort of taken up. I mean, Angry has rotated to try and sort of attempt to peek down the main stairs here, but Ravana is just keeping them on their toes, peeking really aggressive. Will spot out Azumi, unfortunately not good for that frag. A lot of damage dealt, but with only 30 seconds left, Spud, L will find one on, I believe, possibly the flank, Angry to go down, but Izumi popping those Goyo charges, that is probably ill-advisable because that has locked her teammate out of the site for the next 20 seconds.
Yeah, that's a little bit unfortunate there, a bit of a misplay, but 20 seconds now, will go for the drop, doesn't get taken out straight away, looking down to PC, looks away, I believe there was a player, there it is, L takes her out, and now Jessie left all by herself, we forced to drop site with 10 seconds, 3 players, 4, sorry, and the diffuser in hand.
The bomb's actually going to go down here. Throughout the utility dump that was coming up. I mean, what? Luxie was shooting the Tachanka grenades. We had a Nitro to come from L. We had the Goyo canister popped on the wall. It was really World War III there in the trenches for the Havana, but got that bomb down. Pros don't fake, unfortunately, is going to be defused at the end of the day. But I mean, you really... Yeah, Ravana has got it correct. Plus respect, definitely plus rep for sticking that plant out. A 1v4, albeit a little bit much to ask in the given situation, but getting that bomb down is definitely a reward, I think.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, you got to get those points, right? You don't want to be at the bottom of the leaderboard. Exactly. You got to get those points for it. So, hey, what else are you going to do, right?
Oh, that was... that would have definitely been hectic there. For Jessie, albeit Benchwarmers find themselves the 3rd, looking good to take this 4-2 half that we talked about. But, I mean, Volpez, if they can find a 3rd here, going to be setting themselves up pretty decently going into the defense side of things. Obviously, Benchwarmers are a team that we've seen perform better on the defense side of things. Obviously, we've seen them play Cafe before, and their defense on Cafe is really good. Just in general, Benchwarmers have a really good defense side. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not they can back that up on the attack as well. But for Benchwarmers here, the final defense round that they are going to be playing in this matchup is going to be on the top floor, back up in the office, Spud. Not really too much has changed in the lineup, though, throughout these 6 rounds. I mean, they have kept it pretty vanilla, minus Luxie switching between Tachanka and Smoke. So, I mean, what are you thinking of their lineup? How strong do you rate this so far?
Yeah, I mean, it is a pretty well-rounded lineup. They've got the intel in the form of the Valkyrie, even though it is a lucky dip, as they said every time. I'm just surprised they get the same thing every time. So, hey, works for them. Valkyrie, of course, they do have the carry to stop some of those, to stop the wall being opened so easily, and Meg has been doing really well with that org as well in hand. Shotguns to open things up, denial, intel denial as well. Again, all-rounded, everything you need for a good defense.
On the other hand, though, Meg, and we were talking about how good she's been doing on that org, is going to be traded out relatively quickly by Jessie. So I mean, Jackal for Arcade definitely favors the attack there. Sorry, the defense there a little bit more. Obviously, taking that Inox scanner off the board is going to be a big opener to find. But still, I mean, a Nitro traded is nothing to be shy of in terms of defense, albeit. Volpez taking things slowly this time. They know they have a lot to deal with on the board here from the defense. Obviously, clearing out the shield on the top floor is going to be their first point of contact, and Ravana is going to be forced deeper into the janitor closet. But the Z pings are there. The Valkyrie already proving to be quite useful. Pre-fire, unfortunately, isn't going to connect. But, I mean, the information right now for Benchwarmers is actually pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that has set these two teams apart, is Benchwarmers do have a better grasp of the information that's coming in compared to Volpez. Could be partly because it is defense, you do usually get a bit more intel, and of course Valk has worked wonders, but hey, you can't complain about that. L gets one. Angry will trade back, but Ravenna quick to get the refrag, and once again, the play advantage back in favor of Benchwarmers, and if this continues, definitely a Benchwarmers round.
There you go, Ravanna finding another one, Azumi to fall. Now things left to Jesse on the knock. An operator that could definitely do it all, but doesn't really matter. Ravanna is good for another one, finds the two at the top of square, and it's going to close out the half of Benchwarmers at 4-2. Volpez, unfortunately, didn't quite have as much steam going into their attack as maybe was hoped. But, I mean, a 4-2 is definitely nothing to frown against, especially now that they're going to have their attempt at the defense side of things. We already see Capcan coming out here pretty quickly there from Toki, paired with a Frost and a Thorn. So really trap heavy. I think Azumi was a bit of a AFK pick there on the pulse from the top floor. Maybe not. But, I mean, that is very trap-oriented for Bank Spot.
Yeah, and if Benchwarmers do have good drone work, and especially with that Twitch on board, it might not work out so well for Volpez. I do see a distinct lack of intel. They do have a pulse, of course, but apart from that, you know, no wall denial either. Not quite sure. Again, it could work, though. I mean, it really depends on how well Benchwarmers are able to drone out these key positions. And, you know, first attack round we're seeing could work wonders, could go not so well.
Well, we're going to see if Volpez can sort of switch their pace up here on the defense side of things. Obviously, first few rounds were pretty rough for them, Spud. Couldn't quite get the rush to work out, couldn't quite get their aggression in the right places, as we would maybe say. But they did sort of start to clean things up towards the end of the half, and now, obviously, on the defense side, they are going to have a lot more information to play with, which will hopefully enable them to play how they want to play. And, I mean, we have seen Volpez do it before in such a dominant fashion, back when we saw, like, Spork on the roster, for example. I mean, that iteration of Volpez was a super aggressive sort of version. But, I mean, we are seeing the pulse come in downstairs, so even if it was an AFK pick, it is already proving to be quite useful. We'll also spot out some drones here and maybe go to try and get rid of those. But that's an interesting shield setup upstairs there for Volpez. We got the double shield on the janitor door. I rate this. I really do.
Yeah, look, haven't seen it before, but
No,
it's definitely interesting. Like, not something you see every day, and maybe Benchwarmers won't be ready to deal with that. Not sure they're ready to deal with this pistol rush either, but will be taken down. Ravenna does find the better of Izumi. Does have a slightly better gun as well, and also, yeah, she's going 10-4. What can you do at that point?
Yeah, Ravenna definitely do be fragging for her team. And speaking of Ravenna, is going to find a double. Could be good for some more, especially on the Jackal. But Toki takes a considerable amount of damage there from Meg, albeit will come out the better of the two. Now, Jessie is going to leave that fortified position to attempt to get the ace charges off the main wall there, and will actually succeed in her endeavour. However, droned out by the Twitch may now be an inadvisable choice. But yeah, the wall now opened up. Obviously gives the attackers a sight line straight through L to find the head of Toki inside of the site, and that's going to leave things all up to Jesse and Angry. The 2 versus 4 Benchwarmers look like they can't really be stopped.
Yeah, they have the player advantage. All they need to do now is find out where those last players are and then push them. They can go for the refrags if need be, and yeah, that's pretty it. pretty much it. It's pretty simple, but Jesse will find one and also helped a bit by that grenade as well. And might be able to catch that player on the rappel. And certainly with these shields still in position and no explosive utility to deal with them, could be very troublesome. Ravenna, however, will finish off that player. Now it's up to Angry all by herself with two players to find.
Jesse from the afterlife and Toki with the Capcan trap. Things very quickly sway back in favor of Volpez. Angry with more HP than Arctic could definitely win this out. However, due to the fact that it is an OSA, the bomb could go down here. No really impact utility on the board. I think Arctic might try and force this gunfight here. I mean, he's going to spot the head, and there you go. So from long range with the 1.5, Arctic gets the job done. Clutching things out for Benchwarmers, and I mean, Spud, for a second there, things were looking pretty dire for Volpez there. I mean, and then the utility came out. The traps ultimately sort of almost clutched the round.
Yeah, I mean, we were just doubting, oh, is this going to work out? But apparently it was going to work out great. It was... Yeah, there's just no better outcome you could have hoped for from those traps. And it is those situations where these sort of operators do shine. It's at the end of the round when you don't have time. You need to just go for the execute. You're on low health, and then suddenly you walk into Capcan Mine, and that's it. You're dead. So yeah, 2 traps, 2 kills. Hey, you couldn't want more than that. Well, you could, but like, it's pretty good return for what you put in.
Yeah, especially post-mortem for both of those players. Unfortunately, didn't net them the round. It was close, but Arctic had the better, I would say the better gun for that engagement over long range, and obviously put it to good use there in the dying seconds of that round. But I mean, Benchwarmers right now, a team that is currently sitting at, I believe, the last place?
Seventh.
Seventh. They are one difference again ahead. So, I mean, going into this, we said these teams were going to be pretty evenly matched, Bud. But right now, it's definitely looking like Benchwarmers have the upper hand here, especially given that the score is 5-2 and that, you know, Benchwarmers aren't letting off the gas anytime soon.
Yeah, we did talk about that Flores pick earlier, and it looks like Meg has brought that out. Will be very, very helpful in clearing out that double shield position that we saw earlier. And that's just 2 free shields you get there. No mute jammer either to deny any drone information. So, bit awkward there. Izumi, in the meantime, will take a bit of a nap, just chilling out in this office. And I wonder if anyone will be unfortunate enough to stumble through the side of the map.
Yeah, she do be snoozing in loan office though. I mean, it is probably the best spot on this map to go to sleep due to the fact that it is so low traffic. But all the same, interesting choice to reside residence. Now, Meg, some good drone utility here. We'll be able to designate that Janitor is actually clear at the moment for Benchwarmers to possibly take into the top of square and actually sort of work that position. I mean, the rotates are there to allow angles into the site. Nobody from Volpez is currently manning them now that the shield has been dealt with. And I mean, Jesse has fallen back all the way back to Elevator. I mean, we do see 2 players from Benchwarmers also in the hallway now, sort of just creeping their way up towards that vending machine side, as well as trying to now take into Janitor. This is going to be L spearheading this push here. But I mean, a minute and a half gone, Spud. And Volpez, they're not looking too good. A lot of their utility has been cleared away, and Benchwarmers are just encroaching on the site ever so slowly.
Yeah, Ravenna will open that up first onto Angry. However, Evie will find a second pick onto Luxy. So back even now. L downed as well. Probably will be shot and finished off soon. But Ravenna actually all the way into sight does get an opportunity to plant. And with Meg and Arctic both pushed up, I spoke too soon. Zumi will find Meg, although Meg at least takes one to the grave with her. And now 3v3.
Toki on the flank. This could be big here for Volpez if she can find, and he's going to look the wrong way though. Ravenna was ready and waiting. We'll take down the flanker, and the bomb now to go down. Evie's going to have to push through January and get aggressive. We'll find the first onto L. The bomb now down though, and Ravenna's fighting to get out of the site, but Evie's on a quad. She's on for an ace. If she can find Arctic, the job can be done, but the Jackal opts to go for a little bit of a rotate outside, possibly just to hold a long angle. Will spot the Mozzie. Evie can't quite land the shot. Will take some damage. However, needs to cover her teammate here on the defuse. Izumi tries to bait the peak. Arctic not quite falling for it just yet. We'll go for the stick. She's going to go down and be taken out. Edie can't quite land the shots for her ace. She needs to find the damage here to take down the Jackal. The Nitro not quite going to make the distance. Will spot the leg. Not going to hit the shot though as the time ticks away. It's too far gone now. Arctic doesn't even need to move. She's going to go for the peak anyway. She's going to try and play for the ace. But at this point, the bomb's already gone. She's going to get the ace, ladies and gentlemen. But that unfortunately means the bomb's not going to be defused. And Volpez, they're going to unfortunately lose that round.
So close, but so close is not good enough. You need to win that round. And although she got that ace and she was almost close to getting that diffuser, it just wasn't meant to be. I mean, there were a couple of moments there, especially when, you know, they peeked onto that player diffusing. Could have gone for the kill there. I mean, you can only shoot one person at a time. And also the leg sticking out, that was rather unfortunate. Just, that's got to be an ouch moment. That's, yeah. But hey, on the part of Benchwarmers though, that's definitely going to be a good win to get under your belt. Going to be feeling great after that, clutching it from the jaws of defeat. And yeah, that puts them on match point as well.
Yeah, huge from the Jackal there to sort of just play passively. I mean, not giving in to that aggressive tendency to swing. Definitely big ups for Benchwarmer Arctic there, closing things out. I mean, very commendable effort there from Volpez. I mean, an ace from Evie to single-handedly almost bring it back from the brink of defeat. You do have to highlight that at the end of the day. I mean, 9-6 for her team right now, putting in the utmost work for Volpez. But I mean, it is really just it is a complete comparison when you look at the side of Benchwarmers. I mean, Ravana leading the pack with 14 spud, followed by Elle and Meg both on 8. I mean, Benchwarmers are just sort of doing pretty much whatever they want. I mean, their aggression compared to what we saw from Volpez in the first couple of rounds on their attack has just been so much more calculated. I mean, they've been finding so much control early on. I mean, we saw them pretty much halfway through that round. They were already basically towards the innermost parts of the bomb site on the top floor. So can they do it again here possibly? You know, we will see. But I mean, right now it is match point for Benchwarmers and they're looking to close this one out pretty quickly.
Yeah, you've got 4 rounds ahead of you, but you don't want to be dragging out for too long. You don't want Volpez to be able to build up any sort of momentum. I mean, we did see them briefly attempt that early on, but, you know, that was just 2 rounds, and now that's all gone in the past. 4 rounds in a row for Benchwarmers. Will they make it a 5th for the win? Yeah, at this point, 1 minute already gone off the board. The one roamer, Jessie, has been forced to fall back now, and they do have control of open area and the kitchen, which allows them to start working those hatches.
Really well done as well there from Benchwarmers, Meg, following that drone through. I mean, yes, the live drone was there. Unfortunately, the frag was not to come out. However, the whole premise of obviously forcing this roamer off is now it gives Benchwarmers a lot more to sort of work with in terms of control. And I mean, that is, I believe, both the fire bolts used there by Capital to try and clear out Eve here, who isn't going to go without a fight. But the refrag is there from Ravana, I believe, on the hatch above. And, well, 2 firebolts were used in the process of taking down the Frost, but that is server now clear, and Benchwarmers are going to be able to make their way downstairs to possibly attempt to go for this plant. They do have diffuser on this side of the map. Meg will find one's going to go down in the process, and possibly soon to be finished off unless Luxie can go for the res here, which may be the play, but with a minute left, it might be an explosion onto the side spot.
Luxie looking for this challenge, will find the kill onto Jessie, and with that, yeah, extra HP boost from Arctic. That's 4 players against the 2. Angry and Izumi both on full health, but I spoke too soon. Will be taken down now. Angry, however, will find 1 at least as a consolation prize, but Angry now will be the last one alive. Has to find 3 and the diffuser to stay in the match.
1 versus 3, it's a big feat. We'll find 1. Meg to go down early. Arctic and Ravana, 2 players that have been proving so much in this matchup so far. Needs to find both of them if she wants to clutch this out. It's already found the first. 25 seconds remain, but the nade to come through is going to force her hand on pushing into the bomb site. We'll spot the long angle, but Ravana's actually going to go down on what I believe is a frost mat deep in server, and Angry finds a triple, needs to get the bomb, and the defuse is there. 10 seconds left. She's going to win the 1 versus 3, and Volpez, they're going to hold on for 1 more round.
Well, we spoke about the traps, how at the last minute they can catch you unaware, and we saw that frost map earlier on, and I was wondering, is anyone going to shoot it? Is anyone? But apparently not. And with that, a 1 versus 3 for Angry. Clutch out the round. Definitely a much needed round there. Break some of the momentum Benchwarmers has been building up and get another round onto the board. Well done there from Volpez, and especially a nice carry there from Angry.
Keeping Volpez's dreams alive single-handedly, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, that is twice that Ravanna has unfortunately found herself at the door of a trap operator, which, you know, taken into consideration, needs to be checking her door frames and underneath the doors as we start to be jumping into these windows, albeit a little bit of banter in the chat. You always love to see it. But all the same, Spud, Volpez hang on for one more round off the back of a pretty monumental play from Angry. A 1 versus 3 with only, I believe, 20 seconds as she sort of started to make her way back to the site. So, very well done from Volpez. That is 2 pretty big carrying efforts we've seen in the last 2 rounds from them. Obviously, Evie with the ace, and now Angry with a 1v3 to keep them in the fight. Benchwarmers, they've let a couple of these rounds slip, Spud, that they arguably probably shouldn't have been, given how dominant they've been so far in this matchup. But now Volpez have to go back upstairs where we have already seen Benchwarmers clutch things out. Do you think this is going to be another dominant round from Benchwarmers, or do you think we're going to see a very similar situation in terms of a clutch? Because we've already seen quite a few in this matchup already, Spud.
Yeah, the thing I worry about for Volpez is that they're relying on 1 or 2 players to get that clutch, and you can't always rely on that in Siege. It's just not as consistent as a well-rounded coordinated team, So, you know, I feel like eventually the numbers will add up for Benchwarmers. They'll be able to get that last round. It's just a matter of, will it be this round, the round after that, or the one after that? Especially if they let those mistakes once again slip through. As we've already said, that last round really should have been Benchwarmers' round to win. So if they make the same mistakes over and over again, I'm just wondering about the toll it takes on mental and whether that will affect their performance coming up.
Well, we're going to see how it pans out, Spud. This could be the last round here. Going into our second matchup of the evening, obviously Azumi, I believe, was asleep inside of Lone Office again there, but has made her way out into the main lobby, possibly looking for any skylight repels here to come out. But no, it's not going to be the skylight. It's actually going to be the main windows. Meg is there and waiting, was possibly actually staring at Azumi there. Not too sure if that was the case. However, profanities exchanged. Meg's going to walk away with that frag all the same. Azumi now gone. The line scan to follow things up, and well, a minute and a half gone here, yet to open the wall up for her team. She's actually going to take things into her own hand, go downstairs, a lovely shot onto Angry, and is going to attempt to get the utility off of the wall. But, I mean, Spud, things for Volpez not looking too good with Elle finding that. 5 versus 2 here for Benchwarmers to close things out. Will find 1 for compensation. Toki's going to have to drop now, but it's not looking too good in here for Spud. It's looking great for Spud, but it's not looking good for Volpez.
Yeah, 2 players both taken down below full health, and however, Toki will find 1, and if she can get another, that might actually change things up. Jesse a second onto Meg, and now suddenly it's a 2v2. I don't know how they ended up in this situation. I really don't. But hey, it's working out.
Oh, no, Ravanna is there, expecting the flank up white. Will take down the first. Now Toki, the only member left for Volpez. A good amount of HP to play with, however, will be spotted and not quite fragged out by Arctic there on the rotate. It's going to make it all the way back to Trump office, but now has to find the 2 players, both coming in through the rotate. It's going to get 1, but Ravanna is there for the refrag. Benchwarmers off a round again that was really way too close for comfort. They're going to finally walk away with the game, 7-3. Volpez just could not keep up. They had some really good attempts there, but Benchwarmers, they're going to come out on top.
Oh, Ravenna at the top of that scoreboard, doing very, very well. I just want to take a look at the scores at the end. There we go, 18-6. Oh. Well deserved there. And yeah, she was doing it all. She was playing the ace, she was playing the hard breach. She even had to go and kill the player underneath, open up, get rid of the mute jammer, and then finally get the last kill as well. So much to say about that. The scoreline definitely reflects how well she's been doing. And with that, a well-deserved victory for Benchwarmers. Finally, the first win, and hey, the first round's Volpez as well, 7-3 there.
Oh, look, Spud, you do have to give it to Volpez there. I mean, there were so many rounds that were clutched out that were almost ultimately forfeit there. I mean, it was such a big it was a good go for them. They definitely gave it their best shot. I mean, 7-3 loss to Benchwarmers. Look, Ravanna came in on the sub side of things and definitely carried out her duties. I mean, 18 frags on pretty much a very big mixture of role. I mean, we saw her on the Roam/Lurk Jaeger on the defense. We saw her on Ace on the attack. I mean, she really did sort of go around doing everything this evening. I mean, yes, entering on that Ace downstairs, clearing out that final player to attempt to open up the wall from below. I mean, there was so many times where she was finding opening picks. I mean, on defense, I can count pretty much 4 rounds, I think, on my hand alone that she found the opener for the defense, or at least the first kill for the defense, and really sort of just set the pace there for them. But I mean, that is reflected in the score. 7-3. Volpez just could not find their footing. Their first a couple of rounds, okay, really good attempt, but then then Benchwarmers really just sort of took off running. They really found the momentum going into the second half, just at the end of their first defense half, and they really just cleaned up shop.
Yeah, there were a couple of rounds, unfortunately, for Volpez, which were really close, which I think they could have won that last round. An example there, maybe, again, difficult position when you're taking a 1v2 gunfight, and with the refrag, usually they will get the refrag, but who knows if she had moved away, if she hadn't turned, might have gone the pick. Again, on low health already, position given away, and against Ace and Ravenna, anything could have happened, but again, very, very close. And of course, that Ace round from Eevee, it was a beautiful Ace, just so close to getting that diffuser as well. So unfortunate, but hey, these things happen. At the end of the day, what that does mean is 7-3 doesn't necessarily reflect how well these teams performed. I think Volpez definitely could have gone for a 7-5, maybe push it to overtime, as we said. And hey, at the end of the day, it's a good fight from both of them.
It was a good attempt, but Benchwarmers are going to walk out on top after our first match this evening. Now, we're going to head to a small break, and then we will be right back into the action of match number 2 this evening. So don't go anywhere. We will return shortly for match number 2.
Watch me now. Watch me now. Watch me now. Everybody talk. I just get it done. Everybody talk. I just get it done.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back from our short break. We are here for match number 2 of the evening. Spud, match number 1 concluded in such a way that honestly could have been anybody's game. What were your thoughts at the end of map 1 there?
Look, it was close. I did correctly predict that Benchwarmers would win, but it was actually closer than I thought it would be. I mean, sure, we did say overtime, but I didn't expect, a clutch coming out, almost getting the defuse, coming down to 1v1s and stuff like that. That was pretty crazy. And so, yeah, props both to Benchwarmers and for Volpez for a great fight, but it will be Benchwarmers, of course, who come out on top after that. Their first win on the board, and they will retain that 7th position on that leaderboard. But speaking of the leaderboard, we are going to be taking a look at the top 2 now. It will be Warriors versus Big Brain Esports here. And both of these teams done very, very well. Warriors have gone 3-0, so have Big Brain. And in terms of round counts against them, Warriors have lost 2 rounds against them, whereas Big Brain have lost a total of 5. So overall, very, very close.
Yeah, this is going to really be the... I know we said it last season when we saw sort of Overt come up against the Warriors, but this is going to be the Clash of the Titans battle in the group stage that is sort of going to, I think, set the precedent for who is going to be sitting up there nice and pretty in that first spot for the remainder of this sort of opening part to the season. Now, the Warriors, as we all know, ladies and gentlemen, if you are an avid Warriors fan, that they are yet to be beaten in the Women's League. They have not dropped a map in a season and a bit. a season and 4 weeks, if you will, as their current roster stands. So Big Brain have a pretty big task coming into the back end of this match because they, in any capacity, are the underdogs going up against the Warriors here, and it is going to be a big feat for them this evening if they can take the Warriors down, because they will be the first team to do so in a season.
Yeah, and certainly it will be the upset that everyone is looking forward to. Warriors have been pretty much undisputed champions. No one can beat them, and now at this point we're just looking for teams who might actually stand a chance. And if there is one, it would be Big Brain Esports here. Both teams, of course, staffed by a lot of veterans who have played quite a lot here. Warriors, of course, usually the most stable in terms of rosters. They haven't changed for like a season a bit. It's the same players on this team, so it definitely will have the synergy to back them up as well.
Speaking of rosters, let's have a quick little look for anyone who may have forgot who is playing for these teams, kicking things off. Big Brain Esports, Cheesebender, Burnabear, Chloe, Fishnoodle, Yoshi. Subs are Novawick and Repel, I believe, coached by Web Ra, if I'm not wrong. But I mean, this roster alone, speaking of veterans, we already have 3 big names, notably there for me, on the current roster for the core: Burnabear, Chloe, and Fishnoodle. Obviously, on subs, we do have Repel, Mandy, shout out. But all the same, kicking things up with the OCN boys now, albeit we have got a pretty big roster here for Big Brain. But going up against them, Spud, the New Zealand Warriors.
Yeah, Warriors got some battle-hardened veterans there. KT, AJ, Tiger X, Sav, Soy, Aussie Princess, and for subs, they've got a lot, and really great subs as well. Time for Pie, Beans, and Mons. Yeah, all of these players have been around for a while. KT, of course, also in OCL as well. And yeah, they've been playing together as a team for a long time. They've pretty much gone undefeated all this time, and now it's just a matter of anyone can actually stop them, because so far it looks like not really.
That might be the case. Things could all change, but where is this battle going to take place, Spud? The clash of the Titans this evening. Warriors versus Big Brain. We are going to be heading off to the lovely, snowy alpine resort that is Chalet. I know we're very close to seeing this in the previous matchup, but now we're actually going to get to see it. And I don't think there is any other map that is more fitting here for this matchup between these two teams other than Chalet, Spud.
Yeah, so many frags and so many interesting positions you can play here. So we're really going to see these teams duke it out. They're not going to be, waiting around for a last-minute execute. They're going to be fighting right from the get-go. I expect to see a couple of spawn peaks here on the way, so that will definitely be interesting as well. But hey, we look at the bans as well, it tells a bit of a story as well. All of these teams so far don't want to play the new maps. They don't want to play Theme Park. They don't want to play Border. They don't want to play Skyscraper. Hey, honestly, Theme Park isn't even that bad.
Theme Park is good. Similar to Bank, it's been in the pool once before, then removed, now to be added back in. But, I mean, Skyscraper did actually last a considerable time throughout this veto. It was the third last map banned there by Big Brain. So I'd imagine we maybe could have actually seen a Skyscraper come close to being either the decider between the last 2 maps picked out, or maybe even the map that we saw here, albeit Big Brain obviously not too keen on playing it. So Chalet, I think it is going to be a little bit of a back to basics here. I mean, we did see, I believe it was Grumpy Grapes last season, 7-5, they were 5 obviously, go 7-5 against the Warriors, and it was really, really close, because at one point it was 5-5, they got really, really close to doing some damage, and then the Warriors obviously just did what they do, and they sort of closed it out. But, I mean, Chalet is a map that the Warriors have proven time and time again that they're really good at. Well, most maps that we've seen them play, they're really good at. Undefeated usually means that. But starting things off on the attack, Spud, what do you rate their chances? Obviously, this map usually is attacker-sided. And do you think that's going to pan out well for them here?
Yeah, I see them taking at least a 4-2 half here. 3-3 is what Big Brain could hope for at the best, and then hopefully once they move on to attack, pick up some momentum. But you really don't want to go anything less than 4-2. Anything less than that, and I think Warriors will have it in the bag and run away with it. So that's my prediction. In terms of final scoreline, we were talking about this before. I think it'll go 7-4 to Warriors. 7-5 perhaps, but still a Warriors win.
Well, it is going to be how it pans out here. Spud Chalet kicking things off, as always, with the bans, ladies and gentlemen. Thatcher, most likely the one to go first here. But in terms of the rest, Spud, I mean, Flora's not necessarily a big ban for this map. What do you think the rest of the veto is going to look like after Thatcher's taken off here?
I don't know. I think both these teams are confident enough in their strategies to try something new here. So we may even see a Thatcher survive the ban phase. But given that this is a little more aggressive... All right, well, it will be Flores going off. I was actually going to say, Flores is actually very strong here, very good at removing those piano players playing the shield. And so indeed, Warriors thinking the same way, Flores off the board.
Yeah, there you go. I mean... Yeah, he is pretty strong for the top floor, so he is going to be removed. And there you go, Thatcher to follow as well. So something more, we will say vanilla as opposed to the Kali ban. Or I'd imagine we aren't going to see a Zami banned out in this matchup, Spud, given that these two teams are probably going to be wanting to hold on to their top spots here a little bit more direly. But Valkyrie to follow. What do you think the final is for the follower?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe a mirror... A mirror could be in play here. Someone with shields, I feel like. A frost bat? Now that would be interesting. Lots of places for frost mats, right? So, okay, well.
Nope.
Mirror ban.
Mirror keeping things as straight as they can get here in terms of the bans we usually see. And, well, that is going to be the conclusion of the ban phase. Now the Warriors starting things off on defense, apparently, not attack. I believe we've been fibbed to here, Spud, but all the same, I guess it doesn't really change the narrative. Warriors starting things off on the defense. This is going to be bigger then for Big Brain. They're going to have to get a really good start here because if they don't find that 4-2, well, things could go very wrong for them very quickly. I say that this map is attacker sided. Whether or not that's how it's going to pan out here for Big Brain is a different question. I always say it because it's usually how it plays out, and then as soon as I say it, it becomes the most defender-side map we've ever seen. So, I mean, given that it is the New Zealand Warriors and their track record, I feel like that might be happening to me right now. But you never know. You never know, Spud. We've seen the Warriors go down on a half and then come back and take it in the second split. So, I mean, how do you think this is going to pan out for them here?
Yeah, I mean, they've got all the necessary utility for a very traditional but very strong hold. They've got the library shield, they've got the frost mats, they've got the Jaeger and the Wamai to play with as well, and the Renegates. This is, bread and butter bar gaming hold, and it's very, very strong for a good reason. That library shield can be so difficult to get rid of, and especially with that Flores off the board. On part of Big Brain, though, I do like the addition of lots of grenades. We've got 2 sets of grenades, we've got the smokes and the flashes to work with, and plenty of utility to remove those players off that library shield. So, going to see a lot of contention there.
Yeah, especially given that the Flores has been removed. So those nades are going to be pretty pivotal here, especially paired with the Zofia of Chloe. They're going to be looking to clear that out relatively quickly when they do get the burn on the board. So seems like a pretty default take, albeit the default bomb site is usually one of the top floor ones. Warriors have opted to go for the bar instead, and well, you can't really blame them there. First entry in Yoshi, making her way into the master side. Some good support here being set up by the rest of Big Brain. They have the flanks covered. The Nomad obviously employed this round. Burner Bear setting up those flanks, and the Warriors, they're just waiting for Big Brain to make their way over and attempt to make their play to take out this top floor roam.
Yeah, usually this is how attacks start off. You do see that second floor being where you enter from. You do see someone downstairs in the dining area cutting off any flanks, but we don't see that quite just yet. But apart from that, the master and office entry is very, very common. It does seem to have become a bit of a choke point. They have slowed down, opened up a wall, but still lots of utility that needs to be removed.
Wow, we do see a lot of utility being dumped towards this top blue position, and the shield somehow still stands after 3 explosives to come out. Yoshi, though, is going to be the one there, I believe, to clear this shield out and finish off the job. So Crips T, unfortunately, now going to have to forfeit that position. The smoke will be employed there to maybe cover the cross here for one of the players towards top main. AJ takes a considerable amount of damage from that main cross and is actually going to drop out of library here and forfeit her position. But, I mean, look at the time, Spud. 1 minute left. So much time has been wasted by Warriors here, and Big Brain, they found some good damage, but they still have a lot of work to do if they want to take into this bomb site.
Yeah, it's still 5 players left on both sides, actually, which means it's going to be a very explosive entry. But I spoke too soon. Chloe will find the first pick onto Mai. Almost got caught through the floor there, but we'll get away with that. But so far, this is going pretty well, I'd say. Still a little bit tight on time, but they're mostly above sight. They've got a little bit of time to play that vertical, and then they have to go for the execute. It's just a matter of whether they win those gunfights when it comes to that.
20 seconds left to play with. Soy to find one. Fish Noodle to go down and equalised in a 4 versus 4. The Warriors have some good positioning. However, Burnabear to refrag. Big Brain now lead 1 player advantage. But 15 seconds has been announced. Some shots to come out. The ARX, unfortunately, not enough bullets, but close on the door. Yoshi's just walked in. However, the player, AJ, she's just sitting in the corner. She's good for 1. She's good for 2. She's going to get the planter as well. AJ, a huge 3 kills. The Warriors with the positional advantage are going to walk away with round number 1.
Not like this. I thought they had that in the bag. Voda Big Brain Esports had the execute, and I really thought that Sledge had actually walked in and killed AJ, but no, she was still just chilling in the corner, and with that, 2 players, and most importantly, the planter. So close, yet so far, and with that, Warriors take the first round.
That is a play. That is the difference between how the Warriors have been keeping their lead for so long. I mean, that is just what they do. AJ with a huge play there for her team. They didn't even need to kill the last player for Big Brain. It was already done and dusted. AJ, how Sledge was not checking the corner there, that is rather unfortunate. Big Brain had that in the bag. The bomb going down. They had main lobby presence. They had the Sledge in the site. I mean, everything was going so well. And then AJ just had a word with pretty much the whole team. And it closed that one out for Warriors. I mean, that is a play, Spud. That is a highlight reel. That is your weekly play. That is the clip there. Send that one in. That may be Chibiworth. You never know. But Warriors kicking things off on the defense with a big first round, albeit a little bit shaky. Yes, the play from AJ to come out to save the round from the depths of defeat. But, I mean, Big Brain, they were looking really solid on that take, Spud.
Yeah, they were getting all the picks there, and they had all the map control. And although we did worry a little bit about the time that they were taking, really, they got pretty much to the end of it in perfect time. So, if anything, this speaks really well for Big Brain. We've worried about whether any team can challenge Warriors, but Big Brain really putting up that fight so far. It's a matter of whether they can continually do that for the next, however many rounds now.
Stamina is going to be a big question here, especially against a team like Warriors, albeit a lot has been set up for them on this top floor. We have Roams downstairs, Nitro's ready to come from below, AJ obviously paired down there, I believe with Crips T on this roam, but some interesting angles opened up all the same. Playing for this Nitro is going to be a big part of their push, I'd imagine, Spud, and especially paired with the angles opened up on site. I mean, Soy, what a way to kick things off. It's going to take down Fish. That is the thinker to go first. It's actually going to get aggressive for the second. Unfortunately, not going to find the cross there. But one pick to take early on, especially being the thinker, is definitely a good way to start things off for Warriors here, given that they lost the first pick in the previous round.
AJ now going for this flank. May actually catch some of these players unaware. I'm not sure if those Nomads edge apps have been put down. Will actually be spotted. The drone is lost. But hey, AJ will be forced to fall back. And with that, the wall will get opened.
It's good time here for Big Brain, albeit they've lost a player. And with only a minute and 10 seconds remaining, they still have one roamer to worry about. Now, they do have these long angles opened up. Chloe playing those from the main fireplace stairs with Yoshi attempting to maybe try and hold downstairs for this Nitro, but they haven't actually pushed Crips T out of position, and instead they're looking like they're opting to maybe just go straight for a push into office here and try and get this bomb down. Here comes the Smokes Cheese, possibly to enter first here. He's going to make it into the doorway and maybe go for the bomb plant, but from below, Crips is going to deny that walk in and does a little bit of damage, albeit it is nothing notable, Spud, but with only 40 seconds left, it's going to have to be a flood onto the side as the utility starts to be drawn out.
Yeah, both these teams really not going for those early fights as we had predicted, but I think that is more so speaking to how well they're playing. If anything, they're not taking unnecessary risks. They're getting the picks they need to. Yoshi will go down along with Burner Bear. Almost got that diffuser, but it's the C4 from below. Oh, off to the side, and what looked like a very promising attack falls apart at the last minute.
I think that just speaks waves to the positional advantage that Warriors held there. They didn't get pushed out down below. They still had control of Piano. They still had control of all of Master. There was no solar presence, no double window repel, and it was arguably pretty much just hold your angles. And that's all the girls had to do there. And Big Brain really just couldn't do anything about it. The smokes were denying. Cade with the Nitro was there for the cross on Piano. I mean, Sav also, I believe, from long range, actually downed one and then finished the final. So Warriors there just really, again, highlighting why they have remained undefeated for so long, even in the face of adversity. They get the job done. They do not leave their positions and they hold them until the end of the round. And I mean, Big Brain there, it sort of just highlighted the issue I think they're having right now. They're not clearing enough ground. They don't have enough control going into these post-plant situations. And it highlighted right there, Spud. Warriors are going to walk away with the second. And I mean, that second round looked a lot cleaner than the first.
Yeah, I mean, the thing to remember here is that you're playing for the round. You're playing to actually win and not so much to get picks. And Warriors are very much well aware of that. Although they have some great positions, they've got some really great gunners. They're not peeking and taking gunfights that they don't need to. They'll go for the picks they can. They'll go for that roam. But if it's too risky and not worth it, they'll fall back, wait until they execute when Big Brain just runs out of time. And that's where they get all their picks. It's working out pretty well for them. I mean, 2-0 so far as they go on to this third defensive site. If they take this one, then it will be a perfect round rotation.
Yeah, the perfect site rotation is something that teams always love to get if they get the chance. But, I mean, it's going to come down to if Big Brain can change some things up here. I mean, Warriors have really just got them locked in and they have their number. They really do sort of know exactly what they want to do. Obviously, this pulse downstairs is going to be relaying vital information for the other players upstairs on the top floor. And this is really big for Cripsy. I mean, all she has to do really is just sit here and relay that information. But with Chloe finding the first, Soy now to go down, that's going to be a really big kill to find, especially with the Cade Nitro off the board as well as the 1.5. AJ is going to be there to answer for one back, taking down Yoshi on the Zoth. But, I mean, 4 versus 4, Warriors have fallen back to secondary positions and they're just going to leave the top floor. They've taken their pick and they're pretty happy with that.
Yeah, half of the round gone and they've taken one out. That's a Sophia off the board, so another LMG gone and still lots of information to work with. So, hey, it's going pretty well. Well, C4 will actually be used to clear that Claymore. I'm not sure if she's going to go for that run out just yet, but at least it will make Big Brain a little bit more cautious. Stop them from rappelling on those windows so freely. And maybe, just maybe, delay them a little bit.
I mean, this is something that we've already seen from the Warriors. They spend so long in these positions upstairs and they can hold on for them so long, but then it forces Big Brain to just play in this really quick, sort of aggressive playstyle that it doesn't really favor them in the end because they are forced into fights they don't want to take, like now. 40 seconds left. They've just got, I believe, the kitchen hatch upstairs. And I mean, we already see Warriors all just inside of the site, but on the long angle, Fish Noodle's actually there to take down Crypt T on the bolts, and that is going to be a big pick to find. It's now up to the remaining members of the Warriors to get the job done. Sav's good for 3 on the vault out into Trophy, and now Burner Bear, the only player left in the space of 5 seconds, 20 seconds left for her to play with, is going to go for the drop into kitchen's going to have to reload. The first Nomad is going to get the air jab, but AJ's there off of the back of Sav. Warriors again positionally advantaged, walk away with the flawless site rotation.
Warriors just know so well when to fight and when not to fight. They know once they've gotten that first pick, they're just going to bugger off. They're going to play for that late execute. They're not picking things they don't need to be. They're playing very carefully, and that is paying off so well for them. As much as it looks like Big Brain are making progress, they don't have the right places locked down. They as you said, they're not taking the right amount of ground. And then by the time they go for that execute and that post plant, that's when it all falls apart. Definitely very, very well played from Warriors.
Yeah, Warriors. I mean, yes, they did lose the first pick there, but that doesn't necessarily always equal conversion of rounds, especially when Big Brain they're taking initial control. Yes, they have library, they have top mezzanine, they have that blue hallway, but they just cannot seem to convert these kills into more kills or a round on the board. I mean, what's this? The second time that they've found the opener here, Spud, and they just haven't been able to close the round out. I mean, it just, again, it speaks levels on how well the Warriors played. Yes, they played their positions for extended periods of time, but as soon as they lose that pick, I mean, that round 3, we saw it pretty much perfectly. That pick was lost, Cade went down, but as soon as AJ got that refrag on the run out outside of bathroom, everybody disappeared straight back down onto the site to play that secondary position. They had everything set up there for the crossfires. They had the nitro. Obviously, the pole's still on the board. Yes, unfortunately, he didn't really get to use his utility too much, but it was taken out on that long angle, obviously, by Fish Noodle, but the nitro had already been used. Albeit, I mean, the Warriors there from inside of the kitchen, Sav with a huge 3K jumping out that rotate to find 3 lineups there. That, I mean, it just speaks to the mentality that the Warriors have. They have these little things set up so that they can make power plays off those positions. I mean, that rotate set up allowed Sav to hold the vault in and then ultimately just got aggressive off of that pick, jumps on through, finds 2 more, and then boom, it's a 3 versus 1, and Burner Bear can't really do too much with it. But again, Warriors out here just showing us why they have remained undefeated for so long. I mean, 3-0 right now against Big Brain, the second place team in the league, and they are yet to make a dint in terms of round, but I definitely would say that Big Brain have done a lot of damage so far. But I mean, we've seen so many of these rounds come down to 4v4s, 3v3s, and then boom, Warriors find 3 picks out of nowhere and the round is then theirs. But I mean, Big Brain are definitely not, in any case at the moment, we shouldn't be counting them out.
Yeah, I think they're definitely very close to getting actually a round off of Warriors. They've got the first half of it, down pat. They've managed to get that territory they need, but they're not using, I think, the territory that they've gained well enough to execute onto site. Let's take a look at that previous round, for example. They got into the master bedroom. They had that vertical control. Where was that vertical presence? If they had opened up the floor above Sav, there's no way she could have done that jump out into trophy and gone those 3 picks if there had been vertical control. So maybe that's just the last step they need to work on. Once they've got that territory next to site, they need to work on executing, not just in terms of putting people on the site, but to apply pressure to those power positions that the defenders are going to be playing at the end.
Yeah, I mean, again, the positioning from Warriors, their strategical play is just off of the charts. They have just proven time and time again already in this matchup alone that they are sort of deserving of the rounds, even if they aren't necessarily getting the conversion straight away. Now, that is some good damage dealt to Crips T in the opener here, albeit not a frag to start things off. Big Brain need to be hunting for these kills. The Ying being employed is an interesting choice from Chloe. I'd imagine it is going to be to clear this shield a little bit quicker than it was previously, but some more utility, it seems, in place at the top of blue here to try and protect this position.
Yeah, again, that is the critical position you're going to be holding. Everyone is concerned about that because it does deny anybody jumping in the mezzanine. It does stop them from playing the vertical over that bar. And of course, it does let you rotate back up if you need to. Speaking of rotate, Sav will actually push away all the way back up Solarian. The air jab goes off, but doesn't quite catch. I'm not quite sure what that was about. Fish Noodle will find the first, but I'm sure this is going to lead to some picks here. Will this be able to convert it or nope? There's one. Fish Noodle goes down a second, and Sav, oh no, is just savage.
Unfortunately, not good for 3. Yoshi is there to at least put back together a small semblance of what was left, but the Frost Mat, the cheese, can't quite get the confirmation. There we go. Through the floor, Soy will be able to finally finish things off. And again, Warriors somehow come out on top after that pick. I mean, the flank there from Sav, pretty much perfect. straight up 2 kills. That's 2 for the price of 1, and bang, instantly back to a 3 versus 3. And the deficit that you had is now forfeit. And Big Brain, with only 50 seconds left, they don't have any hard breach utility at all. No Candelas remaining for Chloe, only 1 smoke, and 0 grenades for Yoshi. So not a lot of utility to work for here. It is going to have to just be straight up raw mechanical gunfights going into the last 30 seconds, because Warriors, they're still holding on to all of the advantages they have inside of the site with plenty of utility as well. 3 smokes and plenty of frost mats, I'd imagine, as well. But a small rotate spud, 20 seconds left. Yoshi is going to find 1, and it's a 2v2.
Yeah, if they can get these long angles, they might actually win the fight. There we go. Chloe finds 1. It's all up to AJ. Tiger X now. 1 damage. 1 bullet will put an end to her, but she finds 1 and off. Actually managed. No, if she gets away, this is ridiculous. The feet will give her away, though, and finally, Chloe will find the first for Big Brain.
Maybe if the prone wasn't the call, maybe if the crouch was there, that might have been slightly different. But unfortunately, a good attempt there from Warriors, but Big Brain, they're going to find their first and finally put themselves on the scoreboard here. 3-1 for the Warriors is still a very good lead here for the first half of Chalet. But again, Big Brain, they finally get back crouch bugged. Big Brain if we're going to find their first, which is good. I mean, yes, it was very rocky, but some good gunplay there from Chloe in the end. As mentioned, no utility was left going into the final 30 seconds there. They had to make their play based off of the gun skills, and I mean, they did it. Yoshi found 1, or was it Chloe to find all 3? I can't quite remember. I know Chloe found 2, but still, I mean, you do have to commend them. Off of the 2 versus 3, they come out victorious. And Big Brain, that is a good way to put yourself on the board. But now the question is going to be, Spud, whether or not they can take this momentum and run with it to convert it into more rounds before the split, or are Warriors going to sort of compensate for the mistake and rectify the issue?
10 seconds to insertion.
Yeah. It's really a matter of whether Big Brain are able to get a repeat. If it's just 1, then you could just write it up, chalk it up to a Warrior's mistake. Maybe they got a little bit cheeky, overconfident, and peaked when they didn't need to. If Big Brain can do it again, though, then we're really onto something. And this will actually look like there's a chance, although I still say pretty small, of Big Brain winning this out and beating the Warriors for once. Because, as we've mentioned, a season and a bit, no one has beaten the Warriors yet.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping that might be the case here, Spud. But at the same time, part of me hopes that Warriors can hold on to their undefeated crown. I mean, these girls have put in so much work and so much power into the games that they've been playing. I mean, and it reflects in, obviously, their undefeatedness. They really do put in a lot of time in terms of practicing things up. I mean, Sav outside again. The frost mat. Oh, Yoshi, unfortunately, he's going to find that one. But Soy's coming to collect. She's going to get 1 traded out by Burnabear, however, so the res is going to come out. But I think the damage is already done, Spud. Burnabear's on 20 HP. Yoshi's going to be on 20 HP. That's 2 of your big fraggers down. And, well, Warriors, again, they just keep giving us highlighting reasons as to how they can keep doing this.
Yeah, we said we might see some spawn peaks here or there, but a run out like that, taking out Chloe, definitely really, really worth it. With that, 2 players on low health, Cheese the only one left on full health, and still 4 players with full health on the part of Warriors. A lot of territory left to take, half of the round gone. It's a tall order for Big Brain here to win this next round.
Yeah, given the situation they're finding themselves in, not looking too promising, not too much utility, 2 smokes and 2 air jabs, as well as the exothermic charge is not too much to work with. But I mean, they're going to have to force something here, whether it is going to be the balcony or not. It's looking like it isn't going to be, as AJ is going to take down Cheese on the main double window. So Burnabear and Yoshi left to their own devices now, going to go in through West Main here. An attempt to, frag out, I believe is the term, but they need to find the remaining 4. And given how well players like Sav and AJ have been performing, the call has been made for a knife fight. Whether or not that's what we're going to get to see is a completely different question. But Warriors, they're just playing their positions as always.
They're just playing it safe here, and AJ with another one will add another to her collection. And with that, Sav, before I even got to finish the sentence, we'll find that last one. And with that, Warriors swing back into things.
4-1. So the best that Big Brain can hope for here is a 4-2. And I mean, Spud, so far we've already highlighted that the Warriors, the positions that they're playing just seem to be bulletproof. I mean, Big Brain cannot seem to make a dent in any type of this roam that nets them a round win. They're not finding significant amounts of kills off site. They haven't managed to find enough control to the point where they've been able to play a vertical sort of assault or something along the lines of this. I don't actually think they've really employed too much vertical from what we've seen. We have seen, I believe, a sledge once, but we haven't seen a buck. We haven't seen any breach charges used in a verticality sense. We've seen a lot of grenades and flashbangs being bought, but again, even still, at the end of that round, the blue shield was still standing spot. So, again, what is going on here for Big Brain? Is it that Warriors are just sort of dismantling them before they can even get into an advantage position themselves? Or do you think that Big Brain sort of maybe just keep making very minute mistakes?
Well, there is a couple of minute mistakes in terms of the roam clear and, as we said, the runouts and also the flanks. And that's mainly up to Sav, right? Sav has been doing all of that, the jump outs, the massive flanks, and those have been reaping dividends for Warriors. It's those small things I think Big Brain need to watch out for, getting those drones in the right position. Just being a little bit more careful there, especially with that aggression and small makes like that. Like, you can't let AJ get away with that, right? It's already a tough fight. You cannot let easy picks like that go.
Especially on the Zofia, that is the second round that Yoshi has been the first person killed on that Zof for Big Brain, which, let's be honest, is really not what you want happening. But, I mean, at the end of the day, a kill is a kill, and the Warriors are going to take it regardless. And Big Brain, again, put on the back foot from very early on in this matchup. Now, we did see, I believe, Fish Noodle there creeping in to downstairs, and whether or not she's going to be able to come up West Main and do damage here is going to be a big question. Obviously, joined by Cheese now on the bottom floor. This is going to be make or break here for Big Brain. If they can find some of these picks inside of West Main downstairs in the kitchen, maybe even, this could be big for Big Brain. However, Warriors, I think they're set up pretty well for this. They have 3 players in close proximity for playing for these refrags. So do you think this is going to work out for them, Spot?
Maybe. I think it'll... Well, we'll have to see how these gunfights go. And Fish Noodle, she's gone 1. If she can find a second and even onto the third, then definitely Big Brain have a chance here. It does a lot of damage. Chloe will be able to finish that player off, but Fish Noodle, Burner Bear taken down low. 3 versus 4 now. If Crips is taken out here and they finally clear out the top of this area, then I think they have a chance.
Attackers drop the diffuser.
Oh, Crips is good for 1. Crips is good for 2. She's going for 3. She's going to get it to all 3 in West Main. Taken down. The 4th, unfortunately, not there. The SMG not quite quick enough to come out of pocket, leaving Chloe in a 1 versus 2. However, through the floor, Chloe's good for 3. Needs to find 1 more for the 4K and the round. Everything for Big Brain hangs on the back of the Ying. 1 Candela left to play with, and the Z ping onto the cage. Could have gone for the floor bang, however, is opting for the flashbang and possibly the clear. Will be spotted out in the camera with the nitro from Soy. Warriors to collect their round 5-1 in the 1 versus 1. The nitro not even there on the screen of Chloe, and that is going to be round 6 in favor of the Warriors off of the back of some huge plays that led it to a 1 versus 1. And Spud, 5-1 on the half. Warriors are definitely happy with that.
Look, again, it's those small things that you cannot let Warriors get away with. You know, the runouts here, the flank here, and of course that swing. Crips in a difficult position. She was pretty much all
Blinded
down
as
there
well.
by herself. Yeah, she just swung out and took 3 plays with her. Like, you can't let that happen, right? And it just seems, I don't know what, but every player on Warriors has been capable of showing up. They're all showing up when they need to. And so even if you kill, you know, you take out 1 player, you take out AJ, okay, then Crips shows up, then Sav shows up, and Soy shows up. Ozzy, I think, is only on that scoreline because she hasn't got a chance to kill anyone because everyone's dead before they get to her.
Yeah. Yeah, especially being one of the site players. I mean, shout out to the support homies in the chat, Aussie really holding things down. But even without the kills, I mean, look at the scoreboard for the Warriors. Yes, Sav is on 9 frags. Yes, AJ is on 8. But you really can't take away from the supporting players in these positions. Crips, Soy, Aussie, setting up sites, setting up all of these roaming positions, utility being placed. I mean, the Warriors have really got it down to the science that it is, and they play it really, really well. That is the coupling of utility, the usage of drones, the introduction of all types of information and denial in pretty much every aspect. And the Warriors really are just playing a game here. I mean, look at how quickly they're in the building. The drones that they have set up for themselves downstairs are allowing people like AJ to just get straight into the bottom of West Main, walk all the way up, clearing out the cameras, will spot the vertical. I mean, they're so fast getting into the map that they've already taken so much control spot.
A frag grenade coming out off the back of some pings. Won't be able to catch anyone. I do believe Bernabet has fallen back, but now that they've got this area, they are clear to start pushing up those Solarium stairs, trophy stairs. They're going to bypass that library area completely. Sev finds the first onto Chloe. Huge player there on the part of Big Brain. And with that, the smoke grenades off the board. Great first pick.
Still do 2 downstairs for Big Brain, and they're going to have to look to clear these players out. Sav with a lovely headshot for a double, looking for 3. Indeed, will find the down and now confirm with the God 6 on the fish noodle for the BM. And Sav on some huge entry prowess is going to take 3 in the early stages of this round, leaving Bernabet and Cheese in the 2 versus 5. He's going to opt to go for the hatch pick here, possibly even the drop down into kitchen. But majority of the Warriors players have already backed off. And I mean, they've taken their picks with about 1 minute and 30 seconds left. This is probably going to be one of the quicker rounds we've seen in this matchup so far.
Yeah, look, we talk about how good the positioning and the coordination, teamwork, etc. from Warriors, but sometimes it just comes down to undeniable gun skill, undeniable mechanical skill, and Sav just showed us that. 3 players just bang, 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 taken out. Like, what can you do there? Like, you're not getting the refrags. You're just dying.
Yeah, Sav's on for 5. The 80s and the flawless as well from Warriors. Spud. Sav has just been on an absolute heater for the Warriors in this matchup. And off the back of that flawless round and the ace from Sav, that is going to be match point in favor of the Warriors. Big Brain just cannot seem to catch a break.
Wow, yeah, that's definitely going in the highlight reels. Make sure you guys clip that if you want a chibi. But yeah, 6-1, I thought Big Brain would have put up a better fight. I'm not saying that it's necessarily their fault. I'm not saying that they're a bad team. I think it just says that Warriors is really, really good, right? Warriors have gone on this record against other teams, and while, yeah, sure, those teams might not be as good as Big Brain, definitely expected Big Brain to at least get 3. But no, we could see a 7-1 here, and second place seed taken straight down by Warriors.
Yeah, I mean, we were predicting 7-5, 7-4 here, given how well Big Brain have been sort of showing up against their competition. But I think it really does just speak levels about how far ahead the Warriors are in regards to the rest of the competition. I mean, this is just, it is really just a highlight at how well the Warriors played together. Their chemistry is all on point. It's all there. They know exactly what they're doing. They have their strategies set up. So even if they are finding themselves in a position of disadvantage, they can somehow change that and convert it to a round win. I mean, the Warriors so far in the previous season and current are really an absolute powerhouse and honestly could compete with pretty much any team you put in front of them, I think.
Yeah, they're just on another level. And as you mentioned, they've been playing together for so long, they know exactly how everyone else is thinking, they know exactly what to do, and that certainly plays a big part of it. A lot of the other Women's League teams go through a lot of roster changes, but Warriors is pretty stable. It's the same lineup every single time, and that certainly worked out really, really well for them. Just the amount of synergy we see is incredible.
It's definitely the case, Spud. Now, we do see, obviously, the focus for Warriors is going to be this top blue shield. And with some good flanks being set up elsewhere, Warriors are sort of just covering all the bases here for a late round push, and they're just setting themselves up. I mean, you cannot really blame them. They've had some really good sort of siege played so far, and looking to keep that streak up. Obviously, going to have to open up the office wall here, and Christian is going to be on that job on the Habana, but free to find the opener. He's going to take out that top mezzanine player, and this could force the hand of the Warriors players to maybe just sort of jump into top mez here and maybe force it. Aussie off screen to find Yoshi as well. Shield top blue now cleared out. Big Brain find themselves in a 3 versus 5 with only a minute and a half left, Spud. And this is not good.
Warriors are indeed on a warpath here, and there's no stopping them. 2 players already fallen, and now they're looking to make their way onto that top floor, start the vertical, and they have all the utilities. Still 3 breaching charges. Sledge still alive. Still got Heartbreak Charge to work with and open some of the hatches if they need to, and there is no need. So, look, it's going to be difficult for Big Brain there. They've still got some good positions. Chloe might get the flank, but she will not. Soy just takes her right down and all up to Fish Needle and Cheese now. Left all alone against the 5 powerhouses of Warriors.
Could be another flawless Spud. You never know. It could come down to it. Big Brain have 2 players left in an attempt to take down 5 of the Warriors with full HP, finger over boosted, and plenty of utility to get the job done. The final 30 seconds. It's looking like it's going to be a bar execute here, starting some shots to come forward. Cheese is going to take a considerable amount of damage, goes down as well. Aussie there to confirm, and now it's really up to Fish Noodle to either deny the flawless or at least take a few to the grave, but she's not going to get one. And Aussie is there securing back-to-back flawless rounds. Warriors are going to cement for us the reason that they are undefeated. 7-1, taking down Big Brain. They really didn't even break a sweat.
Wow. If the defense wasn't enough to show you that they are crazy good at this game, that would have showed you 2 flawless rounds in a row. They didn't even take damage. It's like they were still all on full health at the end of that round. They shrugged everything off. There was just nothing that Big Brain could do. As much as I hate to say it, they were just outclassed, outgunned in every way.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is Warriors in peak capacity. That, I believe, was the 2nd seed team getting 7-1 by Warriors, who, yes, completely undefeated and remain completely undefeated. But I mean, in majority tournaments, you see the 2nd seed team go up against 1st place, and it is a completely different bout. Very, very close, very back and forth. But sometimes in cases like this, when you're the Warriors, 2nd seed team, okay, cool, we're going to 7-1 and we're going to keep our undefeated streak going. But I mean, 14 kills from Sav there in that map. I mean, you really just have so many things to say as to why the Warriors have remained undefeated for so long. But again, this map it shows us and everybody at home why they have managed to keep that streak going for so long.
Yeah, look, just the amount of coordination the team and individual players is insane. They've got great mechanical skills. They're getting those flicks, those frags, but they're also the synergy and the amount of drone work that goes in and live droning, following that all up, it all just bundles together perfectly and flawlessly. I mean, 2 flawless rounds, you can't argue with those results, and 7-1. Like, it's working out really, really well.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, again, we've highlighted pretty much everything the Warriors have done well, but it really is what it was. I mean, 7-1 from Big Brain. I mean, they had so many rounds that were really, really close. They had some really good takes upstairs on the defense as well. They had some really good rounds where they'd find a couple of kills, but ultimately, off the back of some play elsewhere, it sort of just converted very quickly into a Warriors round. 3 kills here, 3 kills there. I mean, the amount of 3Ks we saw overall, if I have my notes, we saw 3Ks, all from Warriors players, AJ, Sav, and Crips, single-handedly winning them rounds. And ultimately, it is reflected in the scores. But I mean, 7-1, Big Brain just so many times they'd have that advantage, and then poof, it was gone.
Yeah, I think it also speaks a lot about the kind of mental game that Warriors are playing. They don't give up. Even if they've lost early territory, lost those early picks, they keep fighting and they keep going at it until the very end. And with that, they always manage to get get those rounds, it seems. They always seem to win. And yeah, that just speaks really well about how they're able to keep their composure, keep fighting. And yeah, this really looks like a top tier team.
Well, at the end of week 4, Spud, let's have a look at how everybody else went behind the scenes. We have the results for this week's play days. Obviously, a 7-1 for the Warriors and a 7-3 for Benchwarmers, both of the stream games off stream. Vertex 7-1ing Altered Edge and Radical Rebels 7-4 against Triari. So some pretty quick games tonight, Spud, across the board, the longest being the 7-4. Do you think that these scorelines are sort of expected, given now that we've settled in to our 4th week of play, or do you think there might be a couple of upsets here?
Yeah, look, I think Radical Rebels, Triari, Vertex and AE, Altered Edge are kind of where things start to get a little bit muddy, and we're not really sure how things will pan out. I mean, we've seen some upsets in terms of how those results came out, so I actually am not really too confident in predicting anything among those. I do usually think that okay, Vertex is pretty good, but apart from that, I really can't pick it. And yeah, it's just I just don't know how to make really solid predictions here because it could really go either way.
Yeah, I mean, cementing themselves in the top 2 is going to be Big Brain and Warriors obviously remaining in those 2 power positions. Obviously, the top 4 will be the teams ultimately going to be sort of looking good to retain some of those spots for the finals. Usually the teams that we see at the top throughout the entire group stage are the ones that usually make it all the way through. So whether or not that is going to be the case for this season of the Women's League, we don't know. We are just getting the standings prepared, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are. They're here, ready to have a look, sitting pretty in first still. Warriors undefeated with a 25 round difference. Vertex close second with 1 loss on the board, albeit Big Brain have been put down to 3rd. Radical cement themselves at 4th, and a little bit of a movement towards the bottom end of the roster. Benchwarmers they keep their spot at 7th. And Altered Edge and Triari, a little bit of jumping around there. But the round differences, Spud, are starting to get pretty insane, especially if you look at the top end of the standings.
Yeah, one thing to note, of course, is Vertex and Big Brain Esports, their single losses against, of course, Warriors. And both of those teams actually did pretty much the same. Vertex have the grand title of saying being able to say they did twice as well as Big Brain Esports. They got 2 rounds off of Warriors. But again, that's only a 1 round difference. That's still very, very close. So I expect we'll see these 2 teams fighting it out for that last, for 2nd and 3rd. Radical Rebels as well. Also, 1 loss against Warriors. So, yeah, it's just everyone losing against Warriors. Wow, big surprise. 7-0. So, 1 round is all that separates these the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th teams.
Now, Spud, at the end of this play day, we obviously have to thank a few people behind the scenes. And those are our lovely sponsors, ladies and gentlemen, for pretty much keeping the Women's League going. Zowie, Ubisoft, Computer Alliance, and ZQ Racing. It could not be done without these guys. So thank you very much for supporting the Women's League and everything that goes into it, everyone behind the scenes as well, including me and Spud. So we do thank you very, very much. But Spud, coming to the end of this evening, what are your final thoughts going into week 5? Obviously, week 4 has been a bit of a roller coaster, but setting them up for week 5, how do you think the standings are going to look, or even the games are going to play out next week?
Look, although we know that Warriors are pretty much going to take first place easy peasy, right? It's the next 3 positions where things really start to get tense, where we're not quite sure how those play out, and that's where the matches I'm going to be looking out for. I want to see how they play out against each other, especially once they're a little bit more evenly matched. And I think we'll see some really tight contention there. So those are the matches I'm looking out for. And of course, yeah, Warriors, well, they're just going to win, right? So
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a blast as always. Make sure you tune in next week at the same time to catch Blue Panda and Cthulhu for week 5 of the Women's League. But that is everything me and Spud have time for this evening. We hope you all enjoyed, and we hope to see you here next week. Enjoy the rest of your evenings. Good night.